You've seen it before and called it nothing. A small, dull, olive-coloured bird flitting through your winter garden, almost invisible against the grey branches. But as the sun lingers longer each afternoon, that same bird undergoes a transformation so radical it seems like a different species entirely, erupting into a neon, sun-drenched yellow. This is the American goldfinch, and while you might think this change is just a simple seasonal suit, there is a silent, high-stakes calculation happening inside that tiny body that most people completely miss. This transformation isn't just about beauty, it is a biological diary of every encounter that bird has had in your yard. It is a visible record of trust, stress, and a fragile agreement between your world and theirs. If you have ever felt a spark of connection when a wild creature looks back at you, you belong here with us at Mind of Backyard Birds. Subscribe now so you never miss a sign, because what you're about to learn will change the way you look at every goldfinch that visits your window. Stay with me until the very end, because the seventh secret is the one that reveals something about your own presence in your yard that most people would find genuinely difficult to believe, a secret that turns your garden into a legacy for generations to come. The first secret of the goldfinch's transformation is that it is an extreme energy gamble. Every feather that turns from dull olive to brilliant gold requires a massive investment from the bird's limited energy budget. According to research from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, birds live on a razor-thin metabolic margin where every flight burns precious calories. For a goldfinch to produce that high-definition yellow, it must divert energy away from immediate survival and into long-term maintenance. When a goldfinch arrives at your feeder, it isn't just eating, it's evaluating whether the calorie return of your sunflower seeds is worth the risk of being seen by a predator. If your yard feels dangerous, the bird's stress levels governed by the hormone corticosterone spike. High corticosterone redirects blood flow to the muscles for flight, effectively shutting down the systems that create those vibrant pigments. A goldfinch that shines with a deep, healthy yellow is a bird that has decided your yard is a place of such profound safety that it can afford to be conspicuous. This brings us to the second secret. The goldfinch has built a face database specifically for you. It isn't just reacting to a human shape, it is recognizing you as an individual. Research from the University of Washington has established that birds store your facial features in a region of the brain called the nidopallium caudolaterale, the avian equivalent of a prefrontal cortex. While the archopallium, or the brain's fear center, initially signals an alarm when you step outside, the memory system sends a suppression signal almost simultaneously if it recognizes your face. This is why a goldfinch might stay on the feeder when you walk past, even though it would flush in terror if a stranger approached. The bird is literally overriding its own millions of years old flight instinct because the math in its brain has finally added up to trust. The third secret is that your goldfinch's brilliance is actually fueled by your reputation in the neighborhood. You might think your relationship is with a single bird, but science tells us your identity is being broadcasted across a shared early warning system. In your yard, birds like chickadees act as the security guards, producing complex alarm calls where the number of D syllables encodes the specific level of threat they perceive. If the chickadees in your maple tree have decided you are safe, they stop adding those urgent D notes to their calls. The goldfinches eavesdrop on this silence. They have heard the collective endorsement from the other birds, and because they aren't living in a constant state of high alert, their baseline corticosterone remains low, allowing their immune system and their color-producing molting process to thrive. The fourth secret involves a phenomenon called ritualized anticipation. Goldfinches don't just happen to find your feeder, they incorporate you into their internal circadian map. Studies supported by the University of Cambridge show that many songbirds develop anticipatory behavior, arriving at a location within a narrow 10-minute window each day. If you refill your feeder at the same time every morning, the goldfinch has already calculated your arrival up to 12 minutes before you appear. Your routine has become a fixed point in their world, as reliable as the rising sun. This reliability is the foundation of their transformation. A predictable environment is the only environment where a bird can safely risk the metabolic cost of changing its color. The fifth secret is the hidden rhythm of your absence. when you leave for a few days, your goldfinches notice the moment your morning pattern breaks. Within the first hour of a missed routine, they begin to cycle past your window, checking and rechecking the spot where your shape usually appears. Research shows that by day 3 of your absence, their visit pattern shifts as they demote your yard from a primary resource to a backup. However, they do not forget you. They hold your social file open in their brain, checking your porch against the human shape they remember. When you return, the goldfinches who knew you specifically will fire a recognition response, returning to the feeder faster than any new bird in the neighborhood. The 6th secret is the emotional depth behind their subject tracking. When you move through the yard, you may notice a goldfinch shifting its position on a branch just to keep one eye focused directly on your face. This is not a sign of fear, but a deliberate act of investigative orientation. They are placing you on a mental watch list of individuals that matter. Even in moments when you are sad or moving slower than usual, the goldfinch detects your changed acoustic and movement profile. In their assessment, a sad or still human is the safest version of a human, and they may even approach closer than they ever have before because your threat metric has dropped to nearly 0. This brings us to the 7th and most profound secret. The decision that your yard is home is an irreversible commitment that spans generations. There is a specific moment when a goldfinch stops performing a 15-second pre-landing safety scan and instead flies directly to the feeder as if sitting in its own kitchen chair. But the ultimate certification of this trust is when they bring their young to you. When you see a dull, awkward fledgling goldfinch fluttering its wings while its brilliant yellow parent feeds it in your yard, you are witnessing the next generation being anchored to your land. These birds often refuse to leave their territory even at the end of their lives, choosing to die within the bounds of the place they spent their life defending and knowing in detail. Your yard is no longer just a stopping point, it is the only place that matters to them. Before I go, I want to ask you, has there ever been a day when a bird seemed to recognize you before you even noticed them? Tell me your story in the comments, because every one of them is evidence of this incredible silent bond. I read every single one. I'm Mind of Backyard Birds, and I'll see you in the next one.